Hi guys, welcome wherever you're watching us from. It's so nice to have you here. My name is Pastor Judy, one of the associate pastors at Mavuno Young and Fearless, and I'm excited to be with you today. So today we're doing something very interesting. We're having a conversation on about 2022, how the year has been, the struggles we've had, what we have faced, and what we're looking forward to into this new year, 2023. And with me here, you can see I have a heart and some pieces of paper. Yeah, I'm not a mad woman. So we'll just be picking out one. These are struggles that some of our teens and young people have shared, what they struggled with in 2022. And we'll just be having a conversation around that. So we'll randomly pick one piece of paper and I'll ask my panel, my friends here, to speak on it. Yeah, it's just basically a conversation on life issues and everything. And would like also to hear your thoughts about the specific topics, what we talk about. Kindly share your thoughts on our comments and subscribe to our channel. So, Pastor Bato, you can hold this for me.
Who wants to be the first one? Benji?
Should I be the first one?
Yeah.
Okay, sure. Let me go deep.
Okay.
So, number one was losing my phone and losing a loved one.
Oh.
I think we should losing my phone and losing a loved one.
Oh. So those are their struggles.
Yeah, that was the struggle of 2020.
Did they lose both at the same time?
I think it was
I think in the course of the year.
Yeah.
I would guess.
So losing my phone, losing a loved one.
Which one do you want to start with? Losing a phone?
Yeah.
What are some of the struggles that come with losing phones, I guess?
Was it like a prized possession? Was it a gift from someone? Was it like a very expensive phone?
Maybe.
If they wrote it down, I would assume.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess losing the phone. I think it's all maybe the sentimentality that came with the phone. Maybe it was like you did so much with it. Maybe it was like a gift from someone.
I just think phones are like your friend nowadays, right? It's like
it's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, actually. I imagine the loneliness of everyone else on their phones and then you not having a phone. And also if you're like a teenager, then that means you're not able to buy a phone as fast as you would to replace it, which is
maybe it's because they lost the phone and then the parents were like, we're not getting your phone because you lost it. So that'd be unfortunate.
Yeah, that's
probably.
What's the longest you guys have gone without a phone? Never, Amanda.
No, maybe okay.
Must be nice.
How long have I not had a phone? The longest I've not had my phone is maybe 1 week. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. The longest I didn't have my phone was 3 months, but it was by obligation because I went to school.
That doesn't count.
But
Mine is 'cause I'm
I think
responsible.
willingly actually just put my phone away and not use it or not be.
Or not had a phone, not because it was your choice. But
I just didn't have a phone.
Yeah, you just didn't have a phone.
14 years.
Oh, same.
Huh?
14 years.
Oh no,
when
mine
you
was
were younger?
13 years.
Yeah.
That doesn't.
We're counting from the day we got our first phone. If I say it out loud, I'll sound privileged. But I got my first phone, I think, when I was 11 or 12.
Why?
Wow.
Parents,
Wow.
why?
Okay,
What is happening?
I got my first phone when I was 14.
Yeah.
Like a first proper functional phone. Not
I
like a
don't
kabambe.
remember.
It was
A proper functional phone.
Yeah.
That's a
Did you have Did you have smartphones when you were 11?
I think I had my first one when I was 12, 13. But the first phone I got, I don't think it was a smartphone.
And that was 1940.
I got my first one. I was 9. It was so tiny. It was
I can't even laugh at that because I'm older than Ivan. So.
Okay.
But yeah.
So losing my phone and losing a loved one. Losing a loved one.
Losing a loved one is hard. I don't even know what you can say to a person who's lost a loved one that would console them or make the situation easier for them, because people grieve very differently. I just think do what feels right for you. That's what I'd say. Just do what feels. Don't rush yourself to get better. Don't try to look like you're grieving well, as people say. Just do whatever feels right for you. And I think when you respond to what your body and your mind needs, then I think you're healing. You're healing that way. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
But it's also kind of tough because there's some situations, because losing a loved one can draw you further away from God or draw you closer. And I feel like some people are so clouded by the emotion in the time and the sadness and the grief that they're experiencing that they completely forget that God is there watching them through all the craziness and all the bad times. But I feel like the best advice I would give someone who is grieving is, believers, we live twice. That's one thing. Like, after here, there's a place that we're going to. And if this person truly loved God and spend that time, because to live is Christ, to die is gain. So if they spend that time trying to live for God, then you're going to see them again. It's not the end. Death is just a detour. It's not.
Yeah. Easier said than done, though. Let's be honest.
True.
Easier said than done. But
you can't really ingest all that information in the moment, because you're like, why did they go? What happened?
Because the biggest struggle for me I had when I lost my parents was the fact that God existed, but yet He still allowed these things to happen. Especially specifically to me twice. So you can grieve with hope, knowing that you will see them again, but you also allow yourself to mourn the fact that you don't have them now. I think it's also okay to take time, take as long as you want to take, and whatever feels right for you.
All right.
Who wants to be?
I'll pick. Okay.
Ooh.
So there's him, there's mental health, there's lesbianism, and there's drugs.
There's what? The first one?
Him.
What does that mean?
Him is basically...
I'm guessing a person that hurt this person.
Him is like your situationship most of the time.
Yeah.
Or your boyfriend,
So
Do you think it's
so
in the
old.
context?
We thought it was an abbreviation.
You're like
Do you think it's the
HIM?
context? Because we're essentially talking about what the struggles that this person had this year.
Yeah.
So is it like getting over this person?
I think maybe it's there's many ways you can look at it. Maybe him was distracting her or him, whatever. Him was distracting her from her studies or from
Her goals.
Yeah, her goals.
Yeah.
And maybe she was too focused on impressing him that she forgot about herself, because you may be like, okay, I really like this dress, but what will he think about it? Will he think about how my stomach looks? Will he be looking at my bum? You'll be
Ever
focused.
you can so relate. Kidding, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Then there's mental health.
I think my specialty.
Yeah, our specialty.
Our specialty.
Yeah.
Mental health.
Yeah, mental health. As I said this so many times, I feel like we live in such a carefully curated world, which is just okay. So social media, especially, I feel like social media is like the major thing that is completely against mental health, especially when it comes to teenagers. Like social media is a carefully curated, unrealistic representation of the human existence, and I feel like so many times, so many people online, their life looks so perfect. But outside they are struggling, really struggling. And mental health, it's such a sensitive topic, especially for teenagers, as it's not talked about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really
enough.
not. And most people feel like they're obligated to always be happy.
True.
And it's not meant to be like that. It's meant to be everyone has their ups and downs and stuff like that. And I feel like parents need to be more understanding about that topic.
Yeah.
Do you feel like mental health has become a fad though? Something that's it's cool to say that you're struggling with mental health.
Yeah, it's become so normalized.
People are
that-
It's
oh my
everyone,
gosh,
everyone wants to
I'm so bipolar.
I want to kill myself.
Really, are you being so for real?
It's so unfortunate because people die from this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Depression, anxiety, people commit suicide for these types of things. And when at that point is when I find it so unfortunate because we laughed together, but you struggled on your own.
Yeah.
And then in the end, you died and I was still here. Mental health is so essential. I feel like it's such an important centerpiece when it comes to living life. If you don't take care of yourself mentally, then your life is going to be so incredibly hard to live because you're constantly struggling, where the outside is completely different from the inside. Because on the outside, everything is looking great, but on the inside, it's so hard to live, like you don't want to be there.
Yeah, and even at some point, it will start showing on the outside.
Yeah,
like,
true.
you know, it can even lead to self-harm.
Self-harm, yeah.
It can lead to like the person always looking exhausted, you know, and stuff like that. Some people can start overeating, and some people can start
undereating,
you know. So like, I feel like mental health is something that people need to be educated about it.
But how do you deal with it if you're going through it though? If you don't have the options for therapy?
One thing I always say is, first off, God will never heal what you won't reveal. Talk to someone. Like anyone.
That's
it can be anyone. Like I could basically be like, Amanda, right now I'm really struggling. This and this has happened. I'm not feeling good. I'm feeling in a very, very vulnerable place, and I want to talk to you about it, because I think the ministry of presence, just being somewhere, being there for a person, like having a person there, even physically, you can, like, you know, there's a whole difference of being emotionally available and physically available, because you can have friends who you guys are together, but you feel so alone.
Yeah, like,
you know,
you're an emotional tampon.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
You're a
literally.
therapist
You're
friend.
what, sorry?
You're like an emotional tampon.
So you're soaking up everyone else's emotions, and
Wow.
you're just yeah. So you essentially
also a word that we could use.
Yeah.
Tampon is just
emotional.
doesn't-
Emotional tampon.
sponge doesn't.
I feel like emotional tampon is you're only used when you're needed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you. Well,
We're going
I'm
into detail.
I'm sorry. I mean, like,
But just for don't worry.
sorry.
Yeah.
we
That's
opened the
all
door
your
for
fault.
craziness. Might as well just, you know, might as well just be good hosts.
Yeah, for sure, for
So we've left such wait, what's I even talking about?
Oh, mental health.
Yeah, no, emotional tampon.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
emotional tampon. Yeah, so you soaked up everyone else's emotions, but even in your friend group, you're together, but you feel so alone.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate that has to be the case. But God will never heal what you won't reveal. You have the one thing I always say, especially if you're going through it in that moment. Why would you, if you know you have people around you that care about you, why would they not want to see you at your best? Like, if they didn't help you at your worst, then they shouldn't deserve you at your best. Like,
Yeah, and I feel like one thing is most people's like, they're like, oh, you're laughing with me, you're so happy. Like, they
Yeah.
don't even bother to ask you how you. And one thing that I personally do is, if you tell me you're good, I'm gonna ask you if you're sure,
are you
because
sure? Yeah.
people just say it's like what? It's like programmed. It's programmed. Like, for people, they're like, oh, okay,
That's
I'm
actually
good.
disobedience if
Yeah.
you think about it.
what is disobedience?
Like saying, yeah, I'm okay, but really you're not.
Yeah.
'Cause,
Lying.
it's a lie. So,
Yeah, but they do. Yeah. And like, I feel like you should look out for the people who, even those people who are always smiling around you, I feel like you need to look out for them. Like, not only people who are, you know, you shouldn't only look out for your friend, like, oh, when they're sad and stuff like that, you know?
I think
'Cause-
through all the craziness, the good and bad times,
Yeah,
you
you
should always
should-
just be there for
yeah.
the people that you love.
'Cause, you
Always
know-
check up on them as well.
Yeah, people like to be there when you're at your best. Like, oh, you remember? Oh, now I like you.
Yeah, now I like you again.
Yeah, now I like you. Now that you're not
all
like
laughs
sad.
and smiles and everything.
You're
now,
so funny.
You're so fun to be around. But
Yeah.
then when you're really going through it is when you feel so abandoned by them. So yeah, look out for the people that you love. Take care of each other. Always talk to someone, because God will never heal what you won't reveal, honestly. So
Whether they look happy or not.
yeah.
Love it.
I think
Then there's lesbianism.
There was
Lesbianism.
let's be honest.
sexuality
Yeah.
in general, right?
Yeah, sexuality.
Judy,
Sexual
I'm just gonna
identity.
give you the mic.
Yes, I see what you did there. Wow. I think for me the first thing that came to my mind was the first struggle was him in terms of a situationship with a guy, and then it's still the
Then
same.
mental health. It's like a sequence.
Yeah, with a lady, with a girl at the same time. That's a lot to deal with. Well, my take on, I think we've done this before and we've talked about the LGBTQ space and struggling with gender identity. And our resolve or our understanding is that God created both male and female, and sometimes we feel like we share feelings or affections towards the opposite sex. There's a place for friendship with the opposite, with the same sex, sorry, in terms of we have girlfriends, we have close lady friends, close guy friends. But I think, or my stand is, when you think that you're struggling with the same, you're feeling romantically attracted to someone of the same sex, is to set boundaries with this person, because ideally is to honor God and honor yourself and preserve and take care of your heart. So if you're struggling with that, with either lesbianism, gayism, and you're in that space, and you want to get out of that struggle, for me is guard your heart and set boundaries with this person that you're feeling romantically attracted to. Yeah. Amanda?
And there's one thing that people do that it genuinely is really sad. Yes, yes, the person is lesbian, yes, the person is gay, but you still have to remember that that's a person.
That's true.
You can't tell them, yo, you're gay, you're going to hell.
Get out. You have no right to condemn them, because you're not God, you see. And one thing is maybe you should for some people, they feel uncomfortable, around people from the LGBTQ. But I feel maybe you should set boundaries with them. Yes.
I don't condone.
Yeah.
I still love you though.
I still love you.
I will love you from a distance. I think,
Wow.
I don't condone what you do. I have my own take on it. I have my stand, but that doesn't mean I won't still love you, because that's what I will do, no matter what happens.
I have a question for you. Would you love your straight friends who are fornicators from a distance as well?
Yes. I feel like, first off, I'm not in a position to judge, because judgment is not mine, essentially.
Yeah.
Because you might have made a mistake, you might have done this and that, but essentially you're not the event. No, the event isn't your identity. The event isn't your identity. What happened is not who you are. I'm not going to slap a label on you because you did something.
Yeah, but ideally, I think probably what Bato would be asking would be habitual, a habitual lifestyle of,
if this is something that you're continuing to do, you're sleeping around, all that stuff.
Yeah.
In that moment, I can help you, but I can't live your life for you.
Yeah.
I can love you from a distance, but as much as you continue to do what you're doing, if I'm trying to give you the advice, I'm trying to tell you to stop, trying to tell you that God loves you more than this, and you're still not wanting to listen, and you still wanted to pursue this lifestyle of sleeping around and fornication and all that stuff, that is entirely your choice. Because I can help you, but I really can't live your life for you. That's the choice that you have to make. Because God's deliverance is always his desire, but it's your decision. It has to be something that you do.
Yeah.
You can't just make that. You can't just expect God to change you, but you've not made that decision to actually invite him.
And you can't
into your
help
life.
someone who then wants to be helped.
Yeah, true.
Okay, I'll tell you this. Maybe the first, the second time, maybe it's, sometimes it's an addiction. But if I see you don't care about what I'm saying, I can't force you. You can't take a donkey to the river and force it to drink that.
You can beat it.
You can beat it, but if it decides not to drink that water, there's nothing you're gonna do about it, So I can't force you to do the right thing, It's your life at the end of the day. Sure. It's you.
At the end of this life, it's you and God.
Yeah, it's you and God, not you and Benji. It's not. Yeah, it's not as Benji used to say, you're not going to be grandfathered into heaven.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not going to be told
Maybe
so your grandfather used to work at church, get in.
Yeah, you're good.
VIP.
You're fine.
You're VIP.
It's not gonna, that's never gonna be the
That's
case.
not gonna work.
God doesn't have grandkids.
Yeah, Ivan, you've been so quiet.
He's been waiting. He's been waiting for.
I have been waiting. Back to the topic at hand, which was lesbianism.
Yeah.
Judy was talking about how the progression seems like it was sequential, and I like the way this person has put it as him, and then mental health, and then lesbianism.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of the trajectory that most people who struggle with their sexuality go through, where it's something happened, and then for this thing it scarred them so much that they connect that pain to the gender
Yeah.
and just move away from
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Then at the end, it goes back to drugs.
Exactly.
after.
So now you see
Yeah.
that. That's
Funny
what
thing
I'm
is that's
saying.
the
That's
next
the
thing.
thing. Like, literally
Yeah.
drugs
Literally
after,
the
yeah.
next thing.
So yeah, that's just what I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
the whole
Yeah.
way that this person has said it
Yeah.
really well
Yeah.
in terms
Yeah.
of the progression, because most guys will just say this and not speak about.
Yeah.
The coping mechanism.
Yeah, like, you know.
Yeah, so it's like this person, like for them, I think they really thought about it and put it down, and like this is how it happened. I mean, maybe they're connected, maybe they're not, but now, like as we're seeing, there's definitely something. So I feel like healing is usually the first step. Actually
Yeah.
speaking and then getting
Yeah,
healing
yeah.
is usually the first step, because the hate you might have for this person should not be dictated by the entire gender.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah,
That's
true.
true.
And
That's
I
so
feel
true.
like that's a stereotype. Like, you know, hey, if there's something, I'm like, all men are the same. I really don't
The
like
thing
that.
is,
thing.
I say, like, if you say all that, if you say everyone is trash, you will attract the trash.
Yeah,
Honestly.
and that's you're literally calling it towards yourself.
Yes,
'Cause,
exactly. You're speaking it into
Yeah.
your life. The tongue is
Yeah.
powerful.
Yeah, it's very-
honestly.
it's-
It can steer. It's like the rudder. What does the verse say? I don't know. It's in James something. It's like the rudder of a ship. Yeah, the rudder of a ship. Yeah, exactly. It's so small, but it can speak life and death.
Yeah.
You can speak so many crazy things into your life because you thought you're just saying it as a joke, or it's something that you're dead set mentality on, and that will end up being your reality at the end of it.
And I think my advice to even this person and just young people in general is to not act out every feeling that they have, because sometimes just give it time. Like, be it heartbreak, be it like whatever feelings of attraction towards another person, just give it time. After some time, you get perspective.
But just focus on yourself, guys. Focus on yourself. Love
No,
yourself.
don't focus on you. Focus on God. That's what I
Oh
always
yeah.
say. Yeah.
Focus on God,
Focus on God.
then yourself. Because let me tell you, like, it's not always gonna go well.
That was drugs.
Oh, drugs.
Oh yeah.
I think it's sequential drugs at the end. Substance abuse. I feel like that's such a difficult topic
And
because
it's so broad too. Like, the thing,
it's so vague. Like it can be anything. Like drugs, alcohol, smoking, all that stuff.
I feel like it's a bit vague too, because maybe it's weed as well.
Mm.
That's a part of drugs
Yeah.
too. Other than drugs, I wanted to ask something you had mentioned, that loving from a distance. Like, what do you mean by that? Like, if you see them in the city and they're coming your way, you're like, oh, gay alert. Like, what do you mean by loving them from a distance? Because it sounds like you're seeing them as a different person.
Loving them from a distance, I'd mean that, like, when you need help, I will be there. As in this situation, I will let you live your life the way you want to, because I can't live your life for you. If you want to make the decision, I will come running back and I will help you through every single thing that you might want to be helped in. Like, if you want someone to pray with you, I'm there. If you want someone to help you, like, bring you to church, any of that stuff, I will be there. Because first off, I don't condone, because I have my stance. But I will still love you from a distance. If you need anything, if you like need any sort of help in any way, I'm not going to be like, you're gay. I'm not trying to. No, I'm not doing any of that. Yeah. It would be so unfortunate, because that would make me a bad person first. It would make me hypocritical, because I'm judging you by your events.
And you never know, you know,
But
maybe
my problem with that is that discipleship only happens within close proximity. You cannot fully influence or impact a person if you're loving them from a distance. Like, you have to be in close proximity.
Constantly trying to
so that you're
I
able to
understand
speak
that.
into their lives, and they're able to take in what you say as actual, like, you know, like a thing that's coming from love, as opposed to, this is just another Christian trying to judge me, or you know, like, that's why I asked about about whether if you have fornicator friends, you would love them from a distance, because I don't think it's like, you probably wouldn't even know. People just don't talk about their sexual promiscuity. Sorry.
like, bro, I smashed her.
Wait, dap each other up for that stuff.
Sorry,
It's
I have
crazy.
different friends, I guess.
If you hear how some men talk about women, it's genuinely disgusting.
Yeah, true.
It's genuinely disgusting. Like, some men.
Thank you for saying some,
Sorry. Some, you'll just be like, bro, you know what? I need to go home. Like, it's genuinely like, you know, I smashed her. Like, I'm so proud. Like,
They dap each other up for that. You're like,
Yeah,
oh my
like-
God. Like,
Oh, man.
like,
So you said that when they need something, you'll be there. But let's just say you had a birthday. Would you invite your gay friend to that birthday?
yeah, I would.
Or to a special event, your graduation, your university graduation?
Because I wouldn't want to let that define them, because what I feel like we're meant for more.
Okay.
In that situation, whatever thing you're going through, no matter if it's whatever sexual preference you have at the time, there's no thing like, you know how
You're
even
still human.
yeah, they're still
End of the
human.
day,
They're still
Yeah.
human. There's nothing like, you know how it says nothing can separate you from the love of God. God has loved me so much, as in through all my bad things, through all the crazy things that I did, He would still allow me to come into His presence no matter what. And we love because God loved us first. So even through all those circumstances, I will still try my best to love this person, even despite the circumstance at that moment.
And I think love them to the extent that even if they don't change, like you love them the best way you knew how till
Yeah.
death.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
it's not
Yeah.
conditional that like, hey, if you don't
I'm not
change within 3
supporting.
months, if you
Yeah.
don't change within 3 months, I cannot be your friend anymore.
Yeah.
deadline.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
You see, pull the plug on our relationship
Yeah.
like that. Yeah.
Because, sometimes like people tend to focus on one sin more than the others, and someone will be like, you're gay, and you like looking at the, what is it called, the twig in someone's eye, and you have a whole log, like,
Yeah, exactly.
bro, like, you just lied, and you have the audacity to go and tell him like, you're gay, you're gonna go to hell. No, that's not how it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
I feel like all sins are the same.
In God's eyes, like there's no big sin, small sin.
Yeah.
You can't judge yourself or see yourself as better because for me, I just lie. You're gay. Like, I just lie.
I just had the Ugandan.
No, that's smart.
So, yeah.
I wanted us to continue, but before we do, we haven't touched on drugs that much.
Yeah.
We really just looked at it and
Yeah.
We
jumped over
kind of
it.
spoke about substance abuse,
Yeah,
but like, so yeah.
lightly. But I feel like the whole concept of it is, if it gets to a point where it's abuse, they become numb. Like they use it for a way to numb themselves. And just based on the whole people that we got, we see the progression and everything, and how for them they've gone through a lot, and they like the last two things were like their coping mechanism
Yeah.
to what they've gone through, because there's him, mental health, and lesbianism, then drugs. And I'm just like, for them to get to that point, it means that any support group that was around them, or any person that was around them, they didn't feel like they were in a place where these people were helping them or these people were present for them. And then they lead themselves to a numbness, which is drugs. And they feel great high for a bit
Yeah.
and come back to the
But
reality of life.
that just goes back to sin, because I feel like people just overhype sin. Sin isn't that just this crazy thing. You actually need to be whole. Like sin is an illegitimate response to a legitimate need. Like you want love, you want intimacy, so you think sleeping around with people is gonna like fill
give
that
you that,
void.
yeah.
You're trying to fill yourself up with placebos. It's like
Like an
drinking
escape.
salty water after a hot day.
Yeah.
That is in, it's not going to quench your thirst, but you'll still try drink it. Like,
Yeah.
but now like God, who is the living water, will set you on the right path. Like one drink, you're good, you're set. Like, what's it called? Quencher. I'm done. I'm good. Like, yeah.
But I think like with mental health, like we said, just speak about, like find someone you can talk to that can help you through the
But
God won't
that's
heal what you
easier
won't
said than
reveal.
done.
Really.
It's easier said than done.
yeah, it is. But then just because it's hard to do doesn't mean it's impossible.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, but one thing that I've noticed is you can go tell someone, yo, I need help. And they're like, damn, that's tough. Anyways, my day was so bad. Like, bro, this is not always about you, Like, I also have problems. And I feel like drugs most
Do you
of
know
the
why
time-
that is? It's because young people, or like you find someone who's the same age as you or exactly where you are, and they're not going to be able to help you because they're struggling with the exact same
The
thing.
exact same
So
thing,
you have
yeah.
to find someone who's got even just one step further to be able to tell you, okay, hey, I went through the same thing. This is how I did it.
Yeah.
And so find someone a bit older, a bit more, I don't know, farther along in what you've got.
Find someone the exact same age. Finding someone the exact same age as you, wouldn't that make it easy to have conversation? Because you'd be
Yeah.
like, you have
You did this
and
too?
porn addiction too. I thought I was the one who had this.
Misery does love company. The problem with that is that it doesn't help. It doesn't solve the problem. So if we're all going through the same thing, yes, we can be like, oh, thank
Try to
God
find
it's not
someone
just
who-
me.
But
Overcame it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, look,
But we can't say
comfort
the
wants company.
circumstances where they can solve it together. Because
Yeah, you-
the element of talking to someone older than you, they've gone through this and everything. Yeah, there's that too. They can belittle to you or not take your issues as like
Talk to your resident
seriously.
pastor.
Or
And then if your person's like related to your parents in like any way, like that's a
Yeah, it's kind of hard because
or
if you,
he's like in your social circle and it's older than you. It's to me personally, I would feel
a bit like
a bit
scared.
And
because
so-
sometimes people get mentioned to each other. They don't say like what you said, but it will just somehow come out.
I feel like it's also a thing of you're scared of how they'll see you after this.
Yeah, and how
Yeah.
they perceive you.
Yes.
like one day I was talking to my friend, and she told me, "I'm going to tell you this, but please don't look at me differently."
Differently, yeah.
And
I'm
it
also
hurt
telling
me
you that
so
as well.
much because like that means that so many people have looked at her differently, you know?
Or it's such a crazy thing that the perspective will be changed. Like if I tell you I've been addicted to drugs for like the last 10 years,
Like,
like, dang.
Like that kind of person.
Yeah.
that's
You don't think that's just like
It was crack.
It's more in your head than it is in the other person. Like if you go out genuinely seeking for help to someone more mature spiritually or like older, I don't think they'd look at you and be like, "Man, you're such a
fair,
terrible
but then,
person."
like I get what you mean in terms of you have to speak out, and I know it's tough at first, but it goes to the same concept of in your head you'll think about a lot of things.
Yeah, true.
Like you'll go through everything. And for you, the first option is let me talk to my friends because we're the same age, we relate to each other. Let's see what they have to say. Because
Yeah.
the first option can't be let me talk to a grown up because they might have something.
Yeah, there
very
could be
wise to
connections
say.
there. You know
like
how his
Mama
mom's
Amanda. Huyo msichana wako, be careful, you know?
Exactly.
No, I think what we're saying is, like, we're not saying that it should be the first option. We're just saying for you to, if you're genuinely desperately looking for help and not just sympathy, go get someone who's older. That's the advice. Like, go find someone more mature to speak to actually help you navigate this space.
But you know, I feel like
If you're looking for comfort, fine, get it from your friends. But that doesn't necessarily help the situation.
So in terms of age, like how old?
I just mean
you say?
peers. I don't necessarily. It doesn't.
No,
but
I'm
then
saying
you
like
could
the
have.
people you'd go to seek for help. Would you say like 4 years, 5 years, or like a good 7-10 years kind of?
I don't know.
age
That's just up to like.
Just
You said
anyone
older.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Just
It
anyone
doesn't
you've seen.
necessarily.
Doesn't
Like
really
I
matter.
can't
A
say.
later stage of life.
Oh, they have to be 5 years older. Yeah, it's just
I'm
like
not saying
someone
an
who's
exact
just
age,
yeah.
but I
just
feel like someone
who's
one
who's-
step
yeah.
further than you. It
So-
could be the same age, but they're just one step further than you.
So you've mentioned something about comfort. If these two age mates, they'll just sink deeper into it. But let's just say I'm 19 and he's 19, oddly, and he was struggling with drug addiction, right? And I struggled with that at 15. So now we're both at 19. I've broken through that. I've fought the battle. Now when we talk to each other, I'm like, I went through this. Let's do this together. And since we're the same age, it's like
That's what I just said.
we're able to.
Yeah, I say you know,
So
it
can
should
it
be
be an
a
option?
step further.
It can be
spiritually.
it can
That's
be the
thing.
same age, but I think from interacting with your friends, you know your friends and you know the people around your circle who are
Clowns.
more mature, more responsible. You know, there's that interaction. You know that if I go to this person, I know they're more spiritually mature than I am. So as I think Bato mentioned, it doesn't have to be, I don't know, 10 years or anything. It could be your age mate, but you can see from their character and from their life and from your conversations and your interaction that they are more sound than you are. Yeah.
Okay, so from my paper it says death and sickness.
We have touched on grief,
touched
so
on
let's
death.
just do
Yeah.
sickness.
So
Sickness is also really hard. Like, I always feel like taking care of a person who's sick, like the people really focus on the sick person. People forget to focus on the caregivers because
True.
it takes a toll on them as well. It's very draining.
Watching this person that you love
deteriorate
constantly.
It's very mentally taxing, emotionally taxing, spiritually. So I just would say, like Amanda said in the beginning, just check on your friends, man. Like, I don't know that there's
I feel like
and help out any way possible. Be it something as simple as
I'm going to
cooking
be
them a
controversial
meal.
here for a
Uh-huh.
second. Check, note to self, check your jiggly bits. cancer is a thing. Testicle cancer is a thing. Breast cancer is a thing. It go like all this. Yeah. Yes, check your jiggly bits. That's all I'm gonna say. Check your jiggly bits because bad things happen. I feel like sickness, sickness is so random. Like I got pneumonia back to back like 4 times last year. This year, actually.
It's like Benji's, No, but it is cold. It is type of.
Yeah, it's my type of cold. But like,
Sorry, dude.
I rebuke that. Amen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sickness is, especially if it hits you that this sickness is, let's say, terminal, something like cancer, flies, oh my gosh, schizophrenia or something like that. Like something that is life-threatening. And it's so crazy, especially if it's, let's say if Amanda told me that she had cancer, God forbid, ain't no way. Yeah. Or let's say my mom or my dad, something of that sort. Like it's such a crazy thing to do. And I feel like we always anticipate, especially with the people that we love, it's like they're gonna be here forever. Like sickness is it's like a reality that death is a possibility.
Yeah.
It's real. And I feel like one thing that the sickness teaches people, or people who have had like people in their lives who they loved who had passed away due to sickness, is that time is limited. Like we have very little time. Like the time that we have is like a blip in history. We have so little control of our lives, and the people that are around us are so important that we miss to understand that because we're so consumed by social media and all these things. And I think sickness, it's unfortunately the beauty of death, knowing that time is precious. I think you finally understand that when a person passes away due to any types of sickness or just in any way in general. So when it comes to sickness, I think first off, check up on your friends. Make sure that people are all right. Check your jiggly bits. It's a controversial it's a controversial statement, but really just do. And also prioritize health. I think on this camp we have learned that if you're not good health-wise, then you will struggle a lot because like running around, working out, all that stuff, exercise, eating well, drinking water as well. As in, it's essential for life. I mean, God was kind of hovering it above it before creation. That kind of says it's something important. And drink water, eat well, work out, exercise, all the essentials.
And let's bring back the culture of visiting the sick in hospital. I feel like we now leave it for specific people.
True.
Like just like it should be habitual that maybe, I don't know, quarterly or like whatever time you can, just take time, visit people in the hospital, pray for them. And I think it also gives you the reality check that Benji's talking about, that time is actually very limited. And you're actually more grateful for your own health when you see what people are going through. You learn, wow, like I do take this for granted.
That kind of broke my heart about seeing, like, because I visited the church last week, Setam Nakuru, and they were mourning one of the people who passed away the week before, and he had 2 sons. One was finishing Form 4 and the other one was in Class 6. And these guys, they decided that they never got to visit him in hospital in his last days because they were so busy with exams, and he was starting, and especially the one who was in year 6, I felt so like pain for him because this is his dad, but he's being told, no, stay in school, he'll be fine. And it's also a decision that he made. He's like, I don't want to see my dad because 1, I'm scared that something might happen, and 2, I need to study anyways, I don't have the time. And the fact that he wasn't able to visit his own dad in hospital, and then he's getting this news just a few hours before his exam happens that his dad passed away. It's so painful because we always just expect like our parents
to
live forever, and it's unfortunate that because we need to prioritize each other and love each other more because we're not going to be here on this earth forever. So
people should be the priority. Exams, you can always do them again.
You can retake. It's never that deep.
It's never that deep.
It's never that deep. It's never that deep. It's never that deep.
Calm down.
Like that degree might be sitting in your house, but all the people that you bribed along the way.
Yeah.
Okay.
But still study.
Yeah, we're not saying be stupid. Just study for sure. We're not saying be dumb. It's never that deep though. It's never that deep.
So making friends with certain people. That's an interesting way to
kind of
spell
vague.
certain. But certain people.
English is hard.
Can you guys hear me? Certain people. I think this refers to. We talked about
that was their struggle.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing negative influence.
Yeah.
Is the way.
But maybe they mean certain people, but like,
Yeah. I
Certain
don't think it
people,
would be a struggle to make friends with negative, right? Negative
Certain-
influence.
certain
No, what is a struggle? A struggle is something. Is it that?
making friends.
Yeah.
Struggling making friends with certain people.
You have no mic.
Sorry.
The struggle is making friends with
Certain.
some certain people.
So what are this?
So I'm guessing that it's targeted.
Yeah,
Essentially.
yeah.
So they made friends with a certain group of people, certain people who were not good for them. What we'd like to call toxic.
I don't think that's. Yeah, I think it's not wrong. I don't think the person said wrong influence. I think they said.
Oh, that's a
their
struggle.
struggle was
I thought it a
making
regret.
friends with
You know,
certain
you know,
people.
something that I noticed when we were filling this out, many people confused the assignment with struggle and regret. One regret that they had.
Oh.
Yeah, so I'm guessing it could be either. Yeah, so I'm guessing
So
this
regret,
is.
yeah, regret would make more sense.
Yeah, it would make sense if it was regret.
Well-
Struggle is different.
Okay, whether it's regret, struggle, making friends, it depends with what certain people, like in terms of what kind of friends you're looking to make. You know, are you looking for positive influence? Are you looking to be among your peers? I think overall, when you're making friends, like what are the underlying guidelines when you're seeking out friends, Amanda?
I feel like when I look for friends, my two main focuses are people who can help me and influence me well, and people that I can laugh with.
That way you became friends with me.
Yeah, no, you're not funny. I'm joking. But like, like Benji, he's one of my closest friends. He's someone who can genuinely help me, and I can tell him anything, and I will not feel judged, and I'll always feel ready to tell him anything, and okay, I'll be ready to tell him most things, and and like there's some, and he can make me laugh. Like this other day, he really made
Yes,
me
you're a
laugh.
dad
I
of
was
laughter.
falling on the floor, and everyone was looking at me like, "What's wrong with you?" So like, there should be, in my perspective, there should be more Benjis in the world.
Oh, that's
'Cause, like,
sweet.
Wow, Benji.
That's cute. Love you
'Cause-
so much.
Honestly, I'm so proud that he's my friend, because like, bro, like, he's literally such a big part of the church, and he helps me with what I'm going through. And like, for example, in working out, he helps me that he would like,
Tell you how
walk-
we worked out today.
yeah, he
How
would-
you
he
walk.
would gi-
Let's go walk. Let's go run
you have to
together.
work out,
Yeah.
whether you like it or not, you know? So like, those are the type of friends you need, not those people like, bro, see, we go drink, you know? Who will buy them Zinga? Is it you? You know? Shanga? No. That's not the type of friends you should be looking for.
Yeah. Especially
What friends do you look for?
I'm surprised by the concept of looking for friends.
friends look for you.
Yeah, mate.
Because I mean, that's one way.
All right.
That's just like I'm like, I feel like some friends you just stumble upon, others you
Along the way,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
yeah.
Like to say this friendship that these guys have, like I'm pretty sure they met at church or maybe before.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you see, they just found themselves in a common space and it just blossomed from there. But in
But
terms of,
there's people you meet though that then you're like, I don't even want to be near this person.
but for me, okay, me, I'm a special case, yeah, and like I feel like anything I say can and will be used against me, so I'll be very delicate with how I
About
speak.
what you say.
But let me
You can just say
violate a
you
bit, because
misspoke.
this is a light topic. I'll be a bit lighter, but I like to see people even though I don't like them, because I like to see the kind of chaos they bring.
I know
not
what you
in
mean.
my
I
life,
know what you mean. I know what you mean.
but around, you
Yeah.
know. And so the only way for me to see the chaos is to be around.
Yes.
You feel me? So not because I want it around me, but because I like to see it around me.
I think it's also the thing of whatever,
so
like
it-
being friends with all types of people, just
Exactly.
so you
Yeah.
can
It's very
experience life from
exciting.
Like
very
that
different
one.
perspectives. I know they're crazy. We're gonna be friends.
But we're gonna be friends. Like,
exactly.
What?
But
yeah. You don't have that
I
friend
feel like you should grow up like that.
exactly.
Like be friends with
so,
a
so
lot
that
of
you see everything and be
Yeah.
like, okay, this is not
Dang.
But you
God's
should
portion
have
for
your
me.
close
Yeah, you should have your
But
close
yeah,
circle of people.
yeah.
Yeah.
To add on to that, it's just like when it comes to making friends, I think sometimes people can just come, they act all nice and giddy with you just to get close to you, and then they switch up on you in the last minute, you know. And for me, I feel like once you get the core circle of friends, then all the other friends you have should be around that same concept. Because like if you have these 4, 5, 3, 4 friends, you'll be like, these people have something similar in them, and this is the kind of thing I'm looking for my close friends.
Yeah, true.
But if it's outside of that, then they can be friends, but not my close friends. Like keep them at arm's length.
Yeah, I love that. But has anyone here ever struggled making friends?
Yeah, me.
Yeah, same.
Oh wow.
Growing up was really tough.
Yeah, I was the
Quite.
weird kid who
Same.
sat under the slide. yeah.
I was so flipping small. I used to get bullied so much actually, and I think that was what made me begin to become a people pleaser, of wanting to be friends with everyone to try and make everyone happy. And that was these flies. Oh my days.
Wow.
Anyways, yeah. So yeah, that I was smaller than everyone else up until like year 7. I was like 4'10". I was just incredibly small. And then I was also like very smart. So I was like a nerd and I was kind of condescending. So
Then
I
you
give that
deserve
one to
it.
myself. I think I'd like to think I was a very sweet child.
Yeah.
I'd like to think.
Sweet and condescending don't really
No,
go together.
I'm saying I feel like in some ways I would come off as condescending.
Okay.
Because I don't know. Yeah.
But what, how did you overcome that though? Because just in the event that that's what the person is asking.
Well, 1, I grew taller. 2, I realized that first off, the first person I need to be a friend with is myself, because I realized that I let everyone else's expectations and opinions on me be my rhetoric, and I was like thinking to myself, I genuinely did not like myself as a human being. As in, I struggled with loving myself, and when I realized that the way if people heard the way I speak to myself. And if I spoke to other people the way I spoke to myself, I would have no friends. Like I always judged myself for small, tiny things. I would never cut myself slack in any moment. So first off, I think you need to just essentially find a way to love yourself first, and to give the same type of love that you would give out to everyone else. Give it to yourself first. Prioritize your health, your mental health, your fitness. Just be a kinder person to you first, because you'll never learn how to be kind. First off, if you want to love others, you have to love yourself first.
Yeah.
So
And know about yourself.
and know about yourself. Yeah.
So-
learn your ups and downs, your
And know
strengths
who
and
you are in
weaknesses.
Christ as well.
Yeah, true.
So from the general talk, we've meant the definition we've gone from you guys when you say friends. It's like people that you meet, guys that you feel like you like their vibe and everything. But each of us has close friends, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would like to ask, do you have like a religion criteria that if you want to
Yes.
be my close friend,
That's the
you must
first.
be a
That's
Christian?
actually the first thing on my
Or
mind.
If the person is a Mormon or a Muslim, but he's generally pause. If he's a Mormon, a Muslim, or even an atheist, but he's a good person overall. Like he's not crack addict or something like that. He's financially responsible, very mature person. Would you still add him to your close circle of friends?
Give
Or
me
would
one
you
year.
be like,
I can change it.
atheism?
Wow.
Allah, not for me.
But is that a general question to everyone?
Yeah.
The religion.
I went to a very intercultural school, so a lot of my close friends are either Indian or Muslim, but that there's still, I don't know that religion is ever like we do talk, like everyone knows like my
Your take.
my
your
stance
stand.
on specific things, and some things they wouldn't even ask me because they know my stance would be, or they make jokes about me being the pastor of the group and all of that, but we're still very good friends. So, and then sometimes they even quote from the Bible. Sometimes they're giving me advice. I was like, doesn't your Bible say this actually? So I don't know that that's a criteria for like So I don't know. I don't like. I'm with Ivan. I don't know how you select friends. People just become your close.
But I feel like if you want to like, you're like your general like good circle. The first, I feel like for me, even if you've seen my general like very close friend of circle is what's general close friends. My circle, it needs to be first off. You have like even if you just generally. Please try to have a relationship with God. Like God has to be the center. That's been my thing with relationships, friendships. God has to be the center. Like, it needs to. You have to have, even if you're not grounded yet.
Yeah,
and it makes friendship a lot easier
you need to be equally
navigate
yoked. That's
when
the
you're
word I'm looking
when
for.
you're equally yoked
You need
with a
to be
group of friends.
equally
'Cause
yoked,
like I just thought about it and I was like the friendship that I have with those friends versus the friendships that I have with people who are Christians, it's just that much deeper with the people who have the same faith. Because even when you're having a discussion on something, they can check you, you know? Like they can be like, hey bruv, I don't think that you're honoring God in that sense.
So if someone isn't a Christian, it's a bit shallow, like that relationship.
I don't necessarily think it's shallow in that sense. I just think it's like when I say deeper, I mean.
Oh, let me repeat for the audio. You said that you and your Christian friends, you feel like we have a deeper connection. But among your atheist or Buddhist friends, like you know that deep connection.
It's not that I'm saying it's a shallow connection with my friends who are not Christian. I
connect on different fronts.
Yeah, but like, cause like for me, my faith is the most important thing in my life. So when you find someone who even their faith is the most important thing to them, I don't know how to explain it, but then the connection is just different.
I think iron sharpens iron.
Yeah.
That's the best way to say it. Like if you have iron and wood, iron is getting blunt and wood is getting damaged. Like you can't have that. That just doesn't work, especially when it comes to your faith. You need to have people who are as equally yoked as you, because like if they don't sharpen you as much as you do to them, and if let's say iron and wood, let's say you're iron and they're wood, like you're going to get blunt trying to change them or trying to be friends with them, because you're trying to balance. Because let's say you have a friend who is pulling you away from your faith. Like they're telling you, let's go to this party, let's not go to church today. I mean, you'll be there next Sunday. Like that's slowly withdrawing you from spending time with Jesus or spending time reading the Bible, doing whatever you might be doing, and you're trying, and the relationship wouldn't be beneficial.
And it quenches your fire too, because like sometimes you have to like water yourself down, do not sound overly religious all the time.
Yeah, true.
So you kind of have to you subdue yourself a bit to be able to fit in.
So you said wood sharpens iron. Wow.
I said iron sharpens.
No, you said iron sharpens iron, but then you said like with the other people feel like it's like wood.
Yeah.
But what if they sharpen you
in other
financially
ways?
Skilled?
Yeah.
Isn't that also beneficial?
I'm talking about from a faith perspective.
He's close. They're your close friends, but not the same religion.
That's
the point. So you can be sharpened in financial like skills as well, or somewhere you don't feel you don't have a strong base at. So let's just say you have a Buddhist friend, right? And you yourself, you've been struggling financially on how to do this and this, and he's your close friend, and he teaches you. Where is he? He teaches you how to be financially literate and all these skills. Would you say that's kind of like iron sharpening ironing? He's not sharpening, but you're not sharpening each other like religiously. But
the context they're bringing towards you is the whole thing of being equally yoked. You see, my take on this personally, I won't speak for them, is if you say equally yoked, it can be in one thing or the other. If you have friends who are financially go well off and have financial literacy and all these things, and you're close friends with them in terms of that perspective of business, money and all these things, there's no issue, no particular issue. But when it comes to religion or Christianity and all these things, and you're trying to sharpen each other, you can't sharpen yourself with people who are going in a different direction.
Exactly, yeah.
I think also in that example you've given about having a Buddhist friend or whoever who's financially literate and you're not, and you're trying to learn from them, even the kind of conversation you have on finances would be different, because as a believer there is the aspect of giving to God, and probably their understanding of giving to God is different from yours. So in that conversation, yes, they may teach you on some things of investment and planning and saving and all that, but I believe with as someone who you share the same faith, you sort of have an understanding of even how finances affect your spiritual life. So that conversation becomes more more edified or richer. It's not that you can have deeper, yes, you'll have deeper conversations about saving, but then there are other things that you probably won't talk about because they don't relate
On
with
that
them
level.
on that.
Like there's no eternal, like I have no offense to like friends that you connect with on like for finances or real estate or whatever. This is the eternal value of those things are, to be fair, like there's no eternal value to those things. Those things are all like it ends after
A
death.
house would be nice for this.
No, but it's eternal. I can always. All right, so the one I have is stress, fear of failure, and a tiny ounce of depression. Just a tiny ounce.
Tiny one. It's not that big.
We already spoke about mental health, so I guess
cherry on top.
Stress, fear, failure.
So stress and fear of failure.
Okay.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
Let me just talk on fear of failure.
You know the feeling.
Yeah, I
Same,
know the
same,
feeling.
same.
Yeah. Whoa. I feel like, okay, personally, most of things that teenagers do is to make their parents happy and to gain a bit of like freedom. Because if you pass exams, you
Your
can
parents are
go
gassed.
out. You go out.
Yeah, you
it's
do your
fine.
thing.
You don't pass exams, you're staying your whole of December reading, you know? And it's like, and you're seeing people's story and you're like, wait.
Dang. They were here?
Okay.
Okay.
Then they text you, man, it was so fun. And you're like, yeah, okay.
We didn't have stories in my day.
Oh, yeah.
When it was in the 1870s.
But like, I feel like so many times you're so scared. Oh, you're so scared of failing that you don't focus on other things that are important. Like you can be so focused on passing exams, but you also need to focus on other things. You need to focus on your relationship with God. You need to focus with your relationship with your family, your friends, you know, your health. It's not only education. And if you don't, I mean, okay, some people don't fail. Okay, yeah.
That's not true.
Failure is a part of.
Okay, yeah. But
I feel like
There's something she has mentioned about her parents.
Not her
No,
parents.
it was-
No, not that. We're not throwing shit to your parents. We're not throwing shit to your parents. But do you feel like even our parents overall, there's this culture of that's created like in Kenya or even I won't say the world because I don't know in China or Australia, but we can assume. But there's this culture of that
You don't.
when you fail, like
you're a failure. If you
what's the word
fail,
for it? There's no room for failure basically. Like if you fail, like there's this label you put on top of you and all that. Like there's no room to be like, okay, you failed on this, but that attitude of it's not the end of the world.
It's never that deep.
Let's try something else. Let's
Yeah.
do this and this. Oh, you failed your math test. Don't worry, it's okay. We'll
It's
do
okay.
this. We'll
That's
get a
cool.
tutor and all this.
Yeah.
Do you feel like our culture creates like a safe space for?
I think it's
No.
trying.
I mean,
There's
okay.
some level. Okay, I put like a 5%, right? Is these it's not a big like very like a massive percentage of it because like our society has built this type of rhetoric, especially maybe our parents. Not I wouldn't say like I'm not you know chatting to all our parents, but like there's this huge culture and rhetoric built of if you fail, then you're a failure. Like as if you don't become a doctor, you have failed life. As in, it's kind of so stressful. Like let's say you decided I wanna be a videographer or something like that, and your parents have this dead set rule on what you want to do, and they're like, "Yo, you're not a doctor." Sorry,
You're not my child.
You're not my child. You're not my child.
What?
Because even Paulette told us. Yeah, Paulette. Yeah. I remember she told us about how she after she did what was she doing law? I don't know what she was doing. She was doing this course which cost her parents so much money. And then at the end, she was like, I think I want to become a pastor. Her whole family did an intervention for her. Like, honestly.
Fair enough. Financially speaking.
Yeah, so it's kind of...
The Holy Spirit has entered the
They're
room.
the wrong person.
So yeah, I think the whole thing of our parents, they've not really created us at the moment a safe space to really grow, because first off, failure is a part of life. Failure is actually on the route to success. If you don't fail,
You don't
you
won't
can't
learn.
exactly. Failure is a part. Take the L and learn.
And like,
you know,
like that's tough. But next time,
next time you got this. I feel like we should embrace a whole society of failure is part of success.
Yeah,
and just try to understand that even if you fail, that's cool, because if you at least try to learn from where you failed, you know, do a correction here and there. That maths, you know, Sokoto, you'll be fine.
You know, I learned that recently. And I was like, no, listen. I was told, like, okay, we have been learning it, but I haven't been learning it. Do you get? Then when I hear it's gonna be in the exam, I'm like, what? I thought it was going to do with soccer or something. I was like, what's doing that?
That's maths.
Yeah,
it's maths.
But like, I feel like one thing that parents need to stop doing is comparing their kids. Please don't. Like, genuinely.
Can't you just be more like your brother?
Like
first off,
But sometimes you do need to be more like your brother.
in some aspects, you know things, yeah. Let's say someone came.
yeah.
Let's say, do you guys have any of you guys have kids here? Okay, let's say one of your parents. Let's say your mom. Like she pulled you up on stage, and then she pulled you and your sister, and she was like, "I want you guys to help me compare these two children." God, first off, I've realized God has never called anything, any creation apart from human beings, as a masterpiece. Like literally, he literally calls us masterpieces. So you're comparing one masterpiece to another. There should be no comparison there. And I feel like the whole thing of comparing one child to another is what's killing children's confidence, because they feel like they'll never amount to anything unless, like, they'll try so much, but then it doesn't matter because their older brother or sister is already doing this or has already done that before. So there's no... Your child is a masterpiece on their own.
And one thing,
honestly,
like some parents show away their kids, and it's like really sad.
Show away.
Shoot, like
Show.
go. Like no, not
Shoe
today.
fly.
Yeah, like
Don't bother me.
And like sometimes, you know, I can be talking to my parents and they're like, Then I'm like, oh, so I can go tomorrow just to annoy them. And then they're like, what? I'm like, but you just said, you know?
But you just said, yeah.
Yeah. So you see, I feel like parents need to focus on their kids sometimes and give them more
Attention
time and attention. And like,
I mean, you made me. You might as well just...
But do you feel like sometimes the comparison can bring about a healthy competition?
Depends on
Healthy
the
competition is
mentality.
different.
Yeah.
Because
So it's not. I don't think it's comparing to tear them down. I don't think that's what any parent wants to do to their child.
obviously not, but
That's not how the
can be a
child is
result.
thinking.
Yeah, it can be a result of you doing it. Like a kid might be like, "Oh, I'm not the
I'm not.
competitive type,"
Exactly.
and you've just done this, and so yeah, I'm worth less than
you
my
can tell
guys.
someone
Yeah.
you should
Or
eat
brother.
less and they stop eating, you know? Like, it
Or your
doesn't...
answer would be
yeah.
like, hey, you added weight. Like, really?
And most,
Oh, you've
and
lost weight,
most,
like,
most comments that parents give out, or at least my parents give out, is that they're not trying to compare you with them or throw that comparison, but it comes off as a backhanded compliment. Like, I don't want you to be like this guy, but
you know,
it's
you should try to
so
be
it comes
like
off as
him.
backhanded, like indirectly. I'm not insulting you directly. I'm insulting you indirectly.
But so that we slow down on this hate on parents, because
No,
y'all
we
have
love you
been
guys
on
so
it
much.
for
We love you parents so
minute.
much. Honestly, like, we love you. We really love you guys. Like, you guys are amazing. Thank you so much
to be
for
honest,
everything.
even on us as the kids and just generally people, we have this thing where our parents may not even explicitly say you need to pass every exam, you need to do all these things, you
Yes,
need to
but
succeed
there's
in
that
life. But
pressure.
you yourself, you're just like, for me to amount to anything, I need to
need
do
to.
this. I
And
need
you
to
kind of
pass.
want
I
to
need
make
to-
them proud.
I mean, yeah, but in
It's
the
not like
event
you've
to the
directly
point where
said
you're
it, but
stressing
every
yourself
single
when you're going
time,
through.
it's like, if I don't pass, there's this look that you may give me or this
Exactly.
pressure that I may feel. It's low. I can't. It's not out there in the open, but it's so behind the scenes, and it's only something that I'm experiencing because maybe there's a look that you gave me, or like a sneer that you made, or you looked at my whatever, you're like, what?
Yeah, I can be a perfectionist too, and I think part of the reason is the absolute fear of failure. But someone told me, like, the sooner you teach yourself to fail and get back up, the better it is for your mental health anyways. So like, learn that failure, like, because when you teach yourself to fail, you learn, oh wait, I actually didn't die. And then the next time you're like, okay, I've gone through this before and I managed to get myself back up. So it's fine.
Bullying, social anxiety,
Suicidal
ADHD,
thoughts,
depression,
self-harm,
suicidal
family.
thoughts.
That's a lot
That's a
for one
lot.
person.
Yeah.
That's a lot for one person.
you're carrying a
All
lot
just
of
like,
demons.
Just for context, it's ADHD,
not being.
not being taken seriously by family, self-harm, depression relapse, suicidal thoughts, bullying, some social anxiety. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
There's one thing. It's self-harm. Like, okay, I feel like self-harm, there's one thing about it. It's like an escape, or it's like something people use to like relieve themselves.
Can
Or-
I ask what type of self-harm is most common amongst
Cutting.
you guys' age group?
It's cutting.
Cutting.
Yeah. Because, like,
Your
it's
wrist.
your...
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Anywhere.
People don't stop.
Yeah.
Is the binging and purging also self-harm, or is that
What?
categories? Binging, you like people who eat and then make themselves vomit. Is that also
Yeah.
is that also
Yeah,
considered
yeah,
self-harm,
yeah,
yeah.
or is
Anything that is harming your body and you know it. You know, sometimes it can even be... Self-harm can even be... Look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, damn, you are ugly. Like, that's also a type of self-harm.
Yeah.
Because you're making yourself feel lower of yourself. And sometimes self-harm, people do it because they feel a relief. Or they focus on that pain more than they're focusing on their inner pain. Or maybe they feel like they deserve it.
Yeah, they want to feel that pain
Like-
that they've been like
Like,
they feel
you know,
that they deserve.
some people can be told, you know, this is all your fault. Like, let's say something is going to their family. Like, let's say, what?
Let's say
um,
you're the reason your dad left, or
Yeah,
something like that.
like
Ooh,
that.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll go and cut themselves because they feel like
It
they
actually might
deserve
be my
to
fault, yeah.
be in pain because they brought pain on other people.
so they're punishing
they are
themselves?
yeah, exactly.
Okay, but someone once said to me, I think they were also cutting themselves, but I think they're going through like a heartbreak or something, and then they started cutting themselves. They said, they have so much pain in my heart that I just want to feel pain elsewhere. So they started cutting to just like try and divert
Distract themselves from
yeah.
And it's an addiction.
Yeah,
It is a type of an
and yeah, it does
addiction.
become an addiction. Again, just speak to someone, man. Like I don't know how else to. They have to talk to somebody.
First off, I feel like people, every single time the topic of therapy is brought up, everyone's be like, is everything okay at home?
But
Like,
the problem with therapy is that it's expensive.
I know, but now it shouldn't be more expensive than your life. That's the problem. Because one, maybe you didn't spend that money, or maybe your child was like, I think I need to go to therapy. Then
And you're
the
like,
next,
no.
Yeah, no, it's too expensive. Then the next day you find them dead in their room. How would you? That's
You
so
will
much
always
worse.
blame yourself for
Exactly,
that.
because you know the thing of therapy, it should never, nothing should be too expensive for your health. I feel like that should never be the case. There should never be an excuse to heal, because
That's true, but the accessibility of it—that's a very
I know,
like,
and unfortunately that is the case.
Yeah,
But I feel like
you-
therapy. First off, therapy doesn't solve your problems. Therapy doesn't solve your problem. It doesn't solve it.
Entirely.
Okay,
But-
no,
but-
the thing is, it's a tool.
Yeah,
it's a
it's a
tool
tool.
to help
Yeah.
you sort out your
It
issues
opens
better.
up your
Yeah, exactly.
idea of how things played out.
Yeah, true.
I wanted to add something about getting help. You see that whole story about pain and everything. I feel like this may not be the first thing that comes to mind, because I know how sometimes feelings of wanting to harm yourself come at different kinds of times. But I'm like, if you're to get a hobby or just something to keep your mind at ease, like something that calms you, you know,
Yeah.
it can, like you said, you can go find someone to talk to, or you can find something to do that wouldn't
Music.
exactly
Literally
cause-
distract yourself.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, it's not a foolproof plan, but you know, it keeps you grounded for as
Yeah,
long as
for-
it can be.
yeah, but like I was gonna say about the therapy thing, like if you do have access to it, it would be stupid to not take that.
Yeah,
like, you know, to
exactly.
not get therapy. But if you don't, then there's other resources that you can do. There's pastoral care. There's like there's people that you can speak to. Laughing
But
because I said older
there's-
people. There's people that you can speak to who are able to like help you navigate these spaces. Yeah,
But
it doesn't
there's
necessarily-
one thing that most students are afraid of is their school counselor. Those people are a different breed. I don't know what to say. You know, you can tell them something so personal, and tomorrow your English teacher is like, Amanda, come I talk to you, and you're like, what?
You said?
Actually, I had you. What?
Where
Who
did you
told
hear
you
this
that? What did
information?
you? You know, and like that's when you start. That's one of
To
the reasons
withdraw.
why you stop trusting people. Because I've told you something so personal that maybe even my own family doesn't know, and you have the audacity to go and tell someone else. Like, be so for real. That is not.
Yeah.
Maybe it's not the time. Like, you know,
But
I
are they,
understand.
do you think
the
they're
fear
raising
of
alarm?
it.
They're like telling the teacher so that, hey, or like you need to watch out for this person because they might be
Maybe, you know, sometimes I understand
suicidal.
concern.
Yeah.
If it's so for a topic as crazy as suicide, or even like every single thing on that list, there's cause for concern, because you know there's some matters that are so completely out of your hands, because in that moment you need a what's it called, a village around you. If I knew that, let's say Aman, I'm sorry, if you told me something as crazy as that, I feel like I would be obligated, because if something happens and I didn't say anything, that would be on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
but-
let's say I was trying my best to help you, but then there's some things that I want you to get
Yeah,
the best possible help that you could need.
like, okay, you know, there's some things like that need to be spoken about and don't need to. Like, I can tell you, okay, my parents are fighting at home, for example. You don't need to go and tell my teacher
yeah,
that,
everyone,
you see?
that's
Like, that's not needed. But if I tell you I am going to kill myself, that's something you need to be like
okay. Concerning,
you know.
I need to tell someone about this.
And you know, one thing is you need to like, but you shouldn't go like, she's going to kill herself, be careful, you know, remove that door. Like, no,
yeah,
don't
lock,
do that.
bar down all the windows.
Yeah.
All the bedroom door.
bedroom-
But
Yeah,
that would be the thing the
She's
parents would
staying
do.
on her
Yeah.
own, nothing.
Away from the knives.
Give me that phone. See, you want to no.
Yeah,
It's
because of
not
that
that.
phone of yours.
yourself.
Yeah, it's 'cause of that phone.
Like, you know, it's not everything is the phone's fault, by the way. Let's
Please.
just
But
know
like,
that.
if I have a stomachache, it's not
Like,
the phone.
it's not my
It's
phone.
not the phone, really. It's really not the phone.
Calm down. That does not correlate. Like,
But some of the mental
Yeah,
things,
social
like,
media for
or
sure.
even, do you know, if someone is suicidal, the reason people take away their phones is because you don't want them to Google ways that they can.
no, when you
Commit
Google,
suicide.
when you Google how to kill yourself, it literally takes
They
you to
will
a
send
help
you to a
site.
help center. Yeah.
Oh, you've Googled that.
No, actually, no. Even on TikTok, it's the same thing. Like,
I
I,
text it to her.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good on Google, man.
yeah.
Honestly.
I think they do that on all
But
sides.
there's
Good
dark
job.
web,
Yeah.
but no ideas. No, I'm not trying to give ideas.
Oh my gosh, why would you say that? I won't even repeat it just in case they didn't hear it.
But like, I feel like maybe parents need to be more understanding, and like
We go through things too.
But
Yeah.
children also need to be understanding of their parents
true,
as
by the
well.
way.
Just
By the
offer
way,
the exact
our
same
parents
grace.
aren't.
Yeah.
They also go through things as
yeah,
well.
they do.
Yeah.
You're asking children to offer grace.
To their parents.
It should be mutual.
The
Like-
parents don't have answers to everything. They're not perfect people. They're trying their best.
When we say children, like teenagers,
Everyone.
Everyone who's a
If you
child.
have-
Everyone
if you're a
who's born
child-
out of someone else.
Yes.
But understanding needs to be mutual, because the thing is,
And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, when it comes to kids, the reason why they sometimes feel like disconnected from their parents is because the lack of listening and understanding. Because we are supposed to give them some grace, because even them, they have their lives, they have their problems. But for us,
I feel like sometimes, I know what you mean. The thing of, you kind of step back because you're like, hey, even you're going through your own things. Let me take a step back. Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, so like when you come up with your own problems, it becomes a whole thing. For even us, we have problems.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, let's solve them.
Yeah, yeah. Let's solve it together.
Yeah, or your problems are child's problems. You grew up in
You
finding
grow up,
your
you'll be fine.
problems.
Wait till you pay bills, you realize what problems are. Yeah. You're too young to be having problems. What do you mean? Like,
I don't think it's
Maybe you're the
minimizing.
problem.
I don't think when they're saying that they're minimizing your problems, I think sometimes it's parents trying to say, like, really, I know you think right now it's a big deal, but I promise you in 10 years it's not
It
going to
will
be
get
that big a
worse.
deal.
That's fair. And honestly, I get it. Even me, when I look back in my life and I'm like, these things that had me staying up till whatever time
Yeah,
thinking about,
yeah.
like, it was
So-
such a small thing. But
So
you
they may
can't-
say you don't know what
you
can't
problems are.
approach, yeah, you can't approach it from that angle,
But,
because
that's what I'm saying. The
if you're telling me
grace,
it
like,
will get worse, essentially. like
you're gonna.
That's not-
I
that's
want
not
to kill
instilling
myself.
confidence in
No,
you.
don't
it's gonna
focus
get
so
worse.
much on the words that they use, but the intention behind the words.
But you see, at the moment at which you're going to talk to them about it, are you really in a position where your emotions are settled and everything, you're going logically to approach them with any problem you have?
For example, let's say at 8 years old, your parents go through a divorce, and then the kid is taken by the mom, and so the mom was moved on from the guy, but the kid was seeing this man till now. It's like, where is he? Where is he? Where do I see him? And all this. He'll keep answering that question because he doesn't
Like, is
understand.
it my fault? Like, what's
Yeah,
going
was it
on?
me or like where is he? What happened?
Yeah,
Who is
what
this
does
new
he
guy
ever- yeah.
doing in our house? And so to the mom, she's moved over it, you know, like she's done with that guy. But for the child, it's like, who is this guy?
Who is this? Like,
Who
I
is
don't
he
know who
talking
this
about?
is. Who are you?
I think one thing I'd like to ask, just for you guys to elaborate on us, is when a problem, like he said, a problem that's not yours becomes yours based on the people you're with, especially like your parents right now.
Don't carry
I
someone
think-
else's cross.
I think parents can definitely do a better job of like the transitions in life, such as divorce or even death. Like parents can definitely do a better job of trying to, you know, help the kid along those lines. But even for them, they've never been through it unless they were 8 years old when the parents separated as well. They don't have the first-hand experience of what that looks like. So, like, I don't know. I would say, I don't know how you can tell an 8-year-old have grace for your parents, but I just think...
But like make it apart. I feel like the whole concept of the whole thing of making it apparent, you know, being more aware that your actions, because this is one issue I have with most parents. Like some of them, either they'll get married young and then have a child and they're not fully equipped, or others just
Wow.
or others just get married and have
You're
a child.
calling out
and they're not-
everybody today.
I said we're really cutting out a lot of people today, aren't we?
but yeah, that whole thing of the awareness, because you know, for them it's like, for a parent, I know, or at least I'm learning slowly, I'm not a parent. Yeah, I'm not a parent.
Are you
But
sure?
I'm saying,
Are you sure?
Let me finish my point. I pause so that people understand that I'm not a parent. Anyways, I was saying, like they go through this thing of this child is so amazing. Like they go through the whole development of, wow, I'm taking care of someone, but then they sometimes may overlook the fact that this is a person who, as they grow up, they'll get more aware, they'll get more knowledge about these things, and I need to be able to not see and predict, but just understand that that's going to happen as well, and not go through things like this person doesn't need to worry about anything until they're
That's
24.
right.
I agree with you. I
Yeah,
think
yeah.
parents should get all the help they can get from people who've done it as well. I just think, people think, even my parents didn't know what they were doing, and I still turned out okay. But that's not okay.
That's the problem.
That's the
Guesswork.
problem. Yeah. So I think even parents can do a better job of just equipping themselves, like you said, wanting to
If you're
learn
not ready,
more.
you don't have a child.
And now there's accessibility to a lot of resources that parents can use to help out. And even churches do programs like, you know, Leah or something, parenting classes. Just every single stage that your child goes in, maybe educate yourself a bit more on how you can handle. Us speaking like we're parents, guys. Sorry.
You're not married.
There was ADHD, and I was gonna say, because girls go through ADD without the H, the hyperactivity. Because ADHD is more in boys, because the hyperactivity is more in like young boys. But girls go through ADD as well, and it's very undetectable because there's no hyperactivity. But then you find a girl who just does like multiple things at the same time, or they cannot focus on one thing. It's more stigma, like, I don't know how to explain it in a way that makes sense. It's more undetectable in girls. So I just think parents also need to watch out more, like look out for it more. It's not, your kid is not just distracted. They could be going through something, or they don't understand.
So it's not a natural occurrence, ADHD or ADD. It's something that develops.
I think it could be both. There's kids who are just who have a hard time sitting in one place, and then there's kids who just...
So is there a way to like calm them down? Well, not calm them down, but like slow down on that whole...
Medication.
I mean,
but
a
not
natural
but
way.
there's natural ways of then like you cater to where they are, like, because like it manifests very differently in different people. So a lot of parents sign up kids for different activities to keep them engaged, or you just even the level of education, because you find people who go through ADHD or ADD sometimes are also super intelligent because they're just like processing very many things at the same time.
Sometimes.
So like I think it's just finding what works for the specific child, and then like working with the child on that.
Okay.
Next, should we move on?
Yeah.
Anything? Okay. I struggled. The thing? What? Oh, oops. the thing I struggled with this year in 2022 was a pornography addiction and masturbation. This was because I was molested at a young age and developed hypersexuality, but God saved me.
So but God saved me. I asked this. Does it mean they found redemption or?
But God saved me.
Pornography addiction and masturbation.
Where it came from.
Because they were molested at a young age. Oof.
First off, one thing I want to say is that it's not your fault. That's one thing that people, and stop making that person feel like it's their fault. Like, just because you wore that dress, it's not your fault. They have no right to touch you because of what you've worn or because of what you look like. And that's just the truth. So don't ever feel like it's your fault, or don't let anyone make you feel like it's your fault. Yeah, that's...
Yeah, and maybe porn addiction should be treated like we would treat other addictions, as opposed to it being something you're ashamed about, and now you're doing it in secret or whatever.
Yeah.
Like the only way to get help, much as it's such a taboo, is to honestly talk about it.
Yeah.
And you
But there's
have
something that
like
was
things
there at
like
the end. There was
But
something at the
God
end.
saved me.
No, the hypersexuality part.
this was because I was molested at a young age, and I developed hypersexuality.
Hypersexuality is essentially, it's more common against sexual abuse victims. There's some people who, because they were assaulted sexually or raped or molested, any of that stuff, is their sex drive is on overdrive. So anything essentially can get them sexually charged, or really it's like an on and off button. It can be turned on at any point, and it makes a lot of people struggle because, like, there are people who would turn to sleeping around a lot, and they can sleep around with as many people try to like curb that. What's
Take advantage.
yeah, exactly. So, and there's some other people who they would never ever want to enter the same bed with anyone because they're scared something will happen again or something like that.
Yeah. Well, I love what Butters said, that treat pornography or masturbation as any other addiction. And she said you need to talk to someone. And I always say sin thrives in secret.
Yep.
So until you are ready to come out and say, by the way, I am struggling with pornography. And I think we need to stop stigmatizing sexual addictions and seeing them as so shameful that someone cannot come in and
Because at this
talk
point
about
they're
them.
too common for us to even be doing that. It's just...
And we've seen very young people, 12, 11, already into pornography and all that. So there is the need to come clean and talk to someone and speak out and just say, by the way, I'm struggling with this sexual addiction. Because the thing with sexual addiction rather, it's accessible because you're in your room, you're alone, you have a phone, you have internet. You can it can really become, your life can begin revolving around that addiction unless you get it out of the closet, no longer make it a secret.
Yeah, and find, I don't know, there's different ways that you can do to reduce the temptation of make sure porn sites are blocked. I don't know.
Prohibition.
Huh?
Prohibition.
Yeah, prohibit those sites from your lab. Like if you truly want it to you want to get healing from it, I guess talk to a person, prohibit all those sites, and just avoid all the sexual triggers in every form, be it literature, be it movies, be it whatever. Avoid it in every form.
I wanted to ask you a question, but this is a bit controversial for the director, so I think it'd be cool with it. We've said that we should put these ad blockers on these sites and everything. But what about guys who work in that industry and it's their job and everything, and and like he's your friend. How should we as Christians, how should we like deal with that? Like, is it our place to tell these guys, these companies, you should stop doing your thing, you know, you're not providing anything to society and all that?
Yes.
So we as Christians should
We should speak up. We should
and
protest.
boycott these companies and all
yeah,
that.
because what they're doing actually should, like, it's so inhumane on so many levels. Because a lot of those people, a lot of like former porn stars or people who worked in the adult industry. Yeah, all of them really talk about how oppressed they felt while working there. So it's very, and there's so much rape that goes on. There's so much, I don't know, just a lot of inhumane things that happen within that industry. That it should not be a thing. I don't think it's legal in majority countries. So they manage to, a lot of the production is done in countries where they don't have as strict laws, I guess. So yeah, I think it's our job as Christians to speak up. It's our job as Christians to call them out. It's our job as Christians and to teach that there's redemption for people who are in the industry as well.
What about people who want that? Like, you saw the rise of OnlyFans in 2020 when there was that whole pandemic, everyone was locked in. There's an explosion of women that became millionaires from exposing their their creation on the screen. What about people who willingly, they like that type of industry, they want to be there, you know, are willing, they like this type of job and everything?
I think the gospel. I don't know that there's any other, like, the gospel is the solution to all mankind problems. I guess it's just pitch the gospel to them, and once they realize their identity in Christ and their worth, I just think it will be the Holy Spirit will do the work of convicting them of their sin.
All right.
That's
Yeah.
so wrapped up. Okay.
Just to mention on the molestation, I think Ivan at some point had talked about healing, finding healing and counseling to let go of that pain of the rape from a young age, because you can grow up with it and it can affect you and your family if you do have your own family, get married and all that. So it's important to also find healing for that.
I want to ask, is it the question on rape, would it be advisable for someone to seek therapy from outside church or within church? And the reason why
I believe in
there's a reason why I'm
therapy and
going to bring up
theology.
church. There's this stigma, or I'll say a stigma against people who have been sexually molested. If you bring this up, it's like, and you say at a young age, so when I was a teenager, so it's like, no, you weren't. You were just messing around and all that. Like they dismiss you and like they don't take you as seriously, or they put a label on you like this person.
Say by young
this and
age, they
this,
say like
you know,
5,
and all
6.
that. So do you think if you found someone who was going through that, would you recommend them going through church therapy or like a professional therapy outside of church?
I would definitely recommend church therapy, because then we're offering also the gospel as a solution to what they're going through. Because there's things like, it's such a hard space, because even healing has to come with forgiveness. And I don't know how you can see someone can forgive someone who's molested them outside the Holy Spirit. I don't see how that's possible.
No. What?
So I'm saying, so because we're teaching them, we're giving them, we're presenting the gospel to them, and also we're praying with them, which means we're allowing the Holy Spirit to work within them. And because healing also, like, to be able to heal the person, the person has to forgive the person who molested them. And true, genuine forgiveness outside God, outside Christ, I don't know how that's possible. That's why I wouldn't advise for secular. I mean, I'm sure it works. But my personal preference would be therapy that's, like you said, mixed with theology.
My personal preference would be outside of church. And I would say this is from a personal background. In the States, there's another church that I went to while I was there. And 13, 14, there was a case going around about someone who had been raped and all this. So now when I think about now, at 14, I was hearing it from not the original person, but as like
A talk show.
a talk that was going around. That happening type thing. So to me, I feel like I would recommend someone who's outside of church, because I believe that if God created this universe, if He's almighty and everything, He can use someone even who's not in church too as a tool to help this person out. And also sometimes, I'm not saying this for all churches, but I feel like there's some churches where, your name's gonna be thrown around a lot. You told this person, why does Auntie Mama know about this?
Yeah, but we can't paintbrush the whole church just because one church did that. We can't say all churches now shouldn't do that, or all counseling within the church is because that was wrong for that church to do. That I don't
It's
think,
wrong, but it's
But it doesn't diminish the power of church therapy, as Bato is saying, because there is a place for the gospel in healing. And as she said, forgiveness without understanding and knowing Christ would be practically impossible, because it would be difficult for...
So someone going through this can't. Someone who's going through this and is seeked help from a professional therapist, you believe that they won't be fully healed. You feel that they will able to overcome what they've gone through, but you don't think they'll be healed because the God was not involved. It's not towards you, it's to anyone.
I'm sorry, the question was?
If someone seeked help to a professional therapist, do you think that they'll get help, they'll move over this, but they won't be healed because God wasn't there
In the situation.
Yeah.
I think...
I feel like God can work through any and everyone.
I think the same steps like forgiveness.
Yeah.
I feel like even a professional therapist would let you know that first off, it wasn't your fault.
Yeah.
And lead you towards the steps of first off forgiving this person for whatever that they did to you. And in the same way, it will still give you that same sort of healing. Because let's say you've gone to a professional therapist and you're still Christian. You say, let me go give my testimony. And rallying yourself around people who love God, and in that situation of you're in church and you can feel God's presence, you may be even like moved to even continue to give your testimony, and people can learn from you in that sense. And I feel like it will also help you as well, because even though God might have not been in the situation directly, that you still will find that healing. It might take some time though, but I feel like once you put God into the situation, then things become
Once you
better.
put God in the situation.
Yeah.
So God's not here, like, he sits here
So-
at Mavuno and he can't like walk out
No, that's
the office and do his
No,
thing.
but no, God wouldn't invite himself to a situation where he's not invited. Like, he wouldn't just come in.
Yeah.
If you don't really put God into the situation, if you don't ask God that, God, I know I went through this, I know, like,
Was
if
that-
you don't actually invite God into the situation,
There's
then
stories
that's
of people
completely
who
different.
say they thought they were healed, and then when they gave their life to
It's
Christ,
when they really
realized,
that,
wow,
oh
actually,
my gosh,
there's wounds
there's
that I've
so
been
much
carrying.
that,
Exactly, because I think there's something that the secular therapist can't give you that you can get in church, is that whole feeling of being loved by someone else. Because you know that whole situation of being molested and everything, you can learn to forgive and everything, but there'll be that something that's hidden deep inside you that you didn't even know about, in terms of wanting to be loved in a different way that's not like
Intimacy.
this.
And that's why you
Fearing
probably
something.
turned to-
Exactly. So when you go to a point where
placebos.
that whole of you go to anyone because you want love, or you run away from people because they're showing you love, those are small cracks that you can find that therapy won't exactly tell you it's a problem, because you yourself didn't know it was a problem. So that's why if you go to somewhere like a church where you're told about God and his love, you understand that this was not a form of love that happened and all these things, and this is a true form of love that God is giving me.
Are we done? One last one?
Okay.
Okay, so this one is, we've kind of already dealt with it, but quarreling with my parents.
Quarrel.
Quarrel with my parents.
My rights.
My specialty.
Your special.
Okay, that was a joke.
That was a joke. That was a
You're grounded,
it was not serious. It's just banter. It's just banter.
Yeah, this is for jokes. But I mean,
I think it's a stage. There's a stage where everyone goes through that, where you're just constantly butting head with your parents. But then, like I said, don't act on every feeling you feel in that moment. Just
Yeah,
give
true.
it time.
sometimes just shut up and then talk about it later.
That's true.
You know,
That's
something
true.
I've also realized is I've seen stories of people. It's like the last day that they were with their parents. Like, let's say, it was in the morning and they had a conversation. They had a fight, and then they end up screaming, "I hate you." They leave, and then later that day, the parent didn't come back home. You also have to realize that in that moment, whatever you're feeling, that could be the last thing you might ever need to say to your parents. Like, that could be the last thing. Like, I always try to.
It could be valid though. If you felt deeply
Valid.
angry.
You felt like you hated them.
Imagine, I feel like at that moment, let's say your parents didn't come. Let's say they died in a car accident. That
You'll
same
always
day.
blame yourself.
You'll blame yourself, or you'll think that they died thinking that you hated them. And I feel like that's such an unfortunate thing.
I feel like you're creating a fear of expressing yourself.
Yeah.
Because now it's like,
Yeah,
if you
I
express
mean, why are you
myself-
telling your mom you hate her? Like,
No, I'm not telling my parents that I hate them, but expressing yourself generally, like your true emotion. I don't think there should be fear in that. Like, if I tell them in the morning how I generally feel, what you did to me and all this, that
I
when
think-
they go to work, they'll. And,
No, I think sit on that feeling though first. Really
No, hate is
process
such
it
a
first
powerful
before
word,
you
you know.
before you tell your parents that you hate them.
Here's another thing, before it gets to that point of hate and everything, I feel like with parents, the reason I'm assuming they've written it is because quarreling was not they shouted at each other once. It feels like it's a constant thing that happens. And for them, the reason it may constantly happen is because they're talking and it's hitting a wall and it's bouncing back for one reason or the other. They could be listening and be like, okay, nothing changed. Although they can listen and be like, it doesn't matter. It's not a big issue, or they just do one thing or the other to make it seem like it's gonna go with a back and forth. And for people over time, I'm assuming, not even for me myself, over time it's just like you are saying one thing, you have tried to be respectful, you have tried to honor them
But
in
they're just
every
not
way,
listening.
but you are hitting a wall.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
God's grace is it's abundant and infinite.
Yeah, but still.
you may be feeling like
For
it's
this
getting
one
to the
person,
end.
at this point, like,
and
there's a
you're
tipping
just
point
like, I'm seeing the edge because right now, it's a whole thing. And yeah, I feel like it should never get to a point where you hate them because, again, all these things are coming from a place of love on their side as well. Or at least they try their best for you to get to that point.
yeah.
But it's it's tough. It's like I understand that line itself. I understand it
my
so
parents.
well. Because
Seek outside help.
Seek outside help.
Yeah.
to what extent? Because I feel like I know someone who has had a similar kind of argument with their parents, and for them it's always similar or the same thing. They seek outside help, it comes bouncing back, and they're just like, why are you seeking outside help?
Yeah,
All this,
what do you mean? You can't talk to me or something like that,
you've been
Why
put
did
in
you tell me? In a box,
Yeah,
in
you put
that
in a
moment.
box, there's no
Then
door,
starts
there's no
even more
nothing.
quarrel,
You're
exactly.
talking to them, it's bouncing back. You're talking to anyone else, it's coming back to you. There's no progress, you know?
When you've done everything and there's no solution, imagine I just think pray. Like maybe you need to stop trying
Just
and
give it
just
to God.
like
There's
just
some
leave it, man.
situations
Surrender
that you
it, man.
need to,
Yeah, like, just
first
put it-
invite
Yeah, just be
God's
like,
presence
okay,
into
cool.
it.
I've done everything I can. I can't
Okay,
do anything
it's your
anymore.
turn now.
Lord.
Yeah, you do,
I
yeah.
give up.
But
It's yours.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So I think other than that, we're done.
We are.
Yeah, it's been a good talk.
We had so many, we couldn't get through all of them, but
Yeah. Maybe next time.
Maybe next time.
Anyways, yeah.
We've been talking for so long.